usually. Obviously, so I remember. Okay, this is too tall. Hold on.
Hello, Warfel.
It's kind of weird, this.
Whoa. Whoa.
Oh, we're already filming.
Oh, hello.
Hello. Oh. Okay. 5. Scooch closer because it's crookedy. 4.
You going to hold your own Bible?
I think you should hold it. 3, 2, 1. Hey friends, welcome back to Bible Fun with the Duns. I have my Bible on our dog. Today we read 2 Chronicles chapter 33. And honestly, I was not ready to leave King Hezekiah's reign, especially after reading his son Manasseh's reign. Hezekiah was such a good departure from the sad ways of life for the people of Judah and Israel. But what we see here in Manasseh's reign, he goes right back to the old way. I think we said Hezekiah's dad's name was Ahaz. He goes right back into his way of life. And you had like a long list of the bad guy, all the stuff he does. And so it's just same song, 47th verse of this emotional roller coaster of leadership.
Yeah. So I was thinking originally, like I'm preaching on this passage on Sunday. And I want to talk about his life because as bad as it is, it actually has a really good ending. And so I was going to illustrate it like this in my sermon. I'm not, but this is kind of where my brain was going. Like, have you ever been to a jewelry store and looked at diamonds? So I've only ever done that once. And so, but
That's funny. I do it a lot.
Yeah, I know. So in doing so, I knew exactly what I was looking for because I was told exactly what to be looking for. So when I would go into these jewelry stores, I noticed this pattern because I had read this illustration before, and then it just was true. So when jewelers are showing you a diamond, they put it on these little black, like, is it velvet or felt or what?
It's velvet.
Okay. So they put the diamonds on that black backdrop in order so that as the light is hitting it, the sparkle of the diamond contrasts with the black, like matte background underneath. It makes the diamond pop. I really thought about this story in that the first like 2/3 of the story are the black matte underneath. The last moment of Manasseh's life where he repents and he turns back to the Lord and he runs back to the Lord, that's the pop, that's the sparkle, that's the good. So I just kind of made a few notes about the things Amaziah does. So here's the bad stuff. Ready? So in verse 3, he rebuilt and normalized idolatry in the kingdom again. In verse 4, he nationalized idol worship by putting altars and images, not just at the temple or around the temple, but in the temple. In verse number 5, he started worshiping the sun, the moon, and the stars. In verse 7, he embraced paganism, witchcraft, fortune telling, and dark magic. In verse 6, he sacrificed his own children and like threw them into fire and killed them. He sacrificed his own living children. And then verse 9 it says, so Manasseh seduced Judah and the inhabitants of Jerusalem to do more evil than all the nations whom the Lord had destroyed before the children of Israel. So as wicked as the Canaanites were when the Israelites came for the conquest, Judah had now gotten more wicked than them. And if the Lord had judged the Canaanites, surely his justice would mean he would have to judge Judah. And eventually that does happen with everything. But the end of this story is reminiscent of Jesus' story of the prodigal son. The prodigal son who was so ready for his father to die that he asked for his inheritance and he just went wild. And he lived this crazy life and eventually it carried him way off until one day he finally turned his eyes and he went back home. And when he went back home, his father saw him because he'd been watching for him, ran to him, grabbed him, kissed him, brought him home, no questions asked, and just loved him. That's the story of Manasseh. He is the prodigal for 2/3 of the story. In the last handful of verses, he turns his eyes back to God. And what does his father do?
He was waiting.
He was waiting, and he took him home. And so he was a king in exile and got to come back. Are you kidding me? It's the Old Testament story of the prodigal son. This is that version. And so that's what I got out of reading this chapter. How good God is. I don't think this chapter is about Manasseh. I think it's about God. I think it's about God.
I would agree.
All right. What else you got?
Yeah, we were just talking about it. Number one, do not miss Sunday. However you got to watch. I know it's spring break, but in our own conversation, I'm really excited to hear the sermon on Sunday, what Dusty has dug into.
And she's never excited to hear the sermon, so that's great.
He never tells me the secrets of. I don't even know the chapters usually.
I don't either. I just make it up with
whatever. Anyway, I'm really excited for him to share what God has taught him. But just in talking about this, like, I'm so mad at Manasseh. Like, we got so far with King Hezekiah, and spiritually we were in a very new place, and it's like Manasseh's leadership undoes everything. And so as I read through all those horrible things he does, I get madder and madder. And like the second he turns to God, God's there. Like, yes, I was and so forgiving, so much better than I am, because I'm like, no. But then who doesn't have that story in their life of being away from God and God seeking us out? And so, like, I've heard people talk about the God of the Old Testament being ugly and cruel and stuff, and I want to be like, are you reading the same book that I'm reading? This is the God that I know that's better than good, gooder than good,
goodest,
waiting for us, and it's beautiful. And according to the prodigal son, along those lines, there's a song that I love. It's by Phillips, Craig and Dean, and I'm gonna attach it. Miss Wanda has told me she really loves when we
this is for you, Miss Wanda.
This is for you, Miss Wanda, when we link songs, and y'all just listen to it and worship this good God that we have.
Okay, see y'all later.
Bye.